Tata Steel Kolkata 25K, co-presented by Tata Steel.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to meet the elite men at the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K 2017. In bib number 1, we have the incredible Kenenisa Bekele from Ethiopia. What you're looking at is someone with 21 Olympic and World Championship titles, 6 senior world records, and 4 straight World Championship goals. A living legend. Thank you so much, Kenenisa.
3, 2, 1, and there we start!
So they're underway then for this first edition as an international race of the Tata Steel Kolkata 25 kilometres. The elite athletes, men and women, sets off for their 25-kilometre journey. That's around, 15 miles, there or thereabouts, 15 and a half miles. It's a really good preparatory distance in some respects for anyone with a marathon a few weeks further ahead. Kenenisa Bekele, the outstanding favourite, is very, very powerful in the legs. Bekele has a huge stride for such a relatively short man. Lovely fluid runner. He's many times a world cross-country champion, indeed 16 times a world champion. If you include his team gold medals, he has 22 World Championships medals, Gautam. Most athletes are happy to have 1 gold medal in their career. He has 22 of them. Diro, who is in a blue vest, there he is, second to left, I think, and he is meant to be, in effect, a pacemaker for this group, to lay down the early rhythm and help them get into that nice steady state of equilibrium. But the target was 256, 257. They're moving at pretty much exactly that. So great job so far by this pack. But Mazibuka there takes a drink, or does he just pours it over his head? He's beginning to feel the rising temperature, perhaps. In the blue vest there, just beside them is Tueme, to the left of picture, and the red shorts of the Italian La Rosa still very much in picture, as they've been running now for nearly 27 minutes. Kenenisa Bekele to the right of picture. Well, at 35, many people feel that his best years are behind him, but his agent Jos Hermans, who knows him like a son, says he can still break the world record for the marathon. That world marathon record, remember, is 2:02:57. He's won 3 Olympic gold medals, remember, with a fantastic double in Beijing back in 2008. He has a drawer full of World Championship medals at cross-country and on the track as well. He holds the world records for 5,000 metres and 10,000 metres. And now, that's an interesting shot. Just got his head down there and looked to me like he was leaning into this a little bit. I wonder if he's just getting a little bit impatient with any surges that are being put in by other athletes here. Kenenisa Bekele. Clearly, for my money, he's looking very, very comfortable, Gautam.
Tim, you were asking me about this being a fairly flat course. Well, this is the first of the areas where they climb up a slight bridge. They're on a bridge right now, and they're going downhill, led by Kenenisa Bekele there. And not just Lakshman, but you can see Avinash Sable in the blue vest also keeping pace. In fact, Sable now ahead of Lakshmanan. So it's really good to see the 2 Indian runners competing, and of course keeping very good pace with the champion Kenenisa Bekele as they come down the bridge and enter another very crowded part of the city, which at this time, even on a Sunday morning, would be teeming with cars. But it's good to see the vehicles have stepped aside and they're letting the runners make this piece of history in Kolkata.
Yeah, I think this is their second hill. They hit one hill at around 5.5 kilometres, then again at just around 9.5 kilometres. And of course they have to accommodate these hills on the return as well. So there are 4 climbs they have to make. But they're not big climbs. It is a fast course.
Yes, you're right. The second of the 2 bridges was the Kanighat Bridge. That's the bridge they just came down.
32 and a half minutes on the clock. And it's still Tueme, who is moving well here, the 21-year-old South African. He's run 61 minutes 3 times for a half marathon. Anything under 62 minutes, down towards 61 and 60 minutes. Very, very quick. World-class running for the half marathon. And indeed, he showed a lot of potential a few years ago. He was 4th in the World Championships for junior athletes. That's under 20. 4 years ago was Tueme, so he has got real pedigree.
Yes, there you can see next in front of the Italian De La Rosa, there is the first of the Indians, Avinash Sable. We can't see Lakshmana. I think he's fallen back from this group. So it's Sable running a lone race for India at the moment in that leading group.
I think that's Sable. We just saw him go out of shot to the right of picture. He's in a red vest. But
Sable there, he is in the blue vest.
Sable running really But Lakshmanan is at the back there as well, so he's almost in touch with this group. And this is wonderful to see Avinash Sable mixing it, the 23-year-old who was third in the Delhi half marathon amongst the Indians just a few weeks ago. That was his debut for half marathon. This is probably his longest race ever, in fact.
Yes, he's an accomplished steeplechaser, he's a half marathoner with the Indian Army, as so many of these athletes are, the long distance runners who come out of India, and we've come to one of the widest parts of the roads in Kolkata, getting near Rashbihari Avenue, and very shortly they're coming up to the 12-kilometer mark, almost the halfway mark of this 25K. We'll be seeing the two golf courses. Certainly they won't be eyeing the golf courses, they'll be sticking to the roads. The Tollygunge Club to their right and the historic Royal Calcutta Golf Club will be coming up shortly to their left as we see the goods train. This is the bridge that is about half a kilometer away from the golf courses.
Yeah, Kenenisa Bekele there to the right just checked his watch. He was hoping to run around 72 minutes today for the full distance. The world record, or the world best I should say, because this is not a world record distance anymore, is 71 minutes 18 by Dennis Kimeto of Kenya. That was set, 5 years ago in Berlin, the German capital. But Bekele there to the right of picture, he said he'd be happy if he can get within about a minute of that today, because he's building up for his next big race. Now, nobody knows what that is. We suspect it'll be one of the big spring marathons in April, perhaps the London Marathon or the Boston Marathon or something like that. But for Bekele, this is a very important stepping stone towards that next major goal. And he looks comfortable, doesn't he? For my money, he looks lovely and relaxed there to the right of picture. He's got a long, raking stride for a relatively short, powerfully built man.
And Tim, at almost the halfway mark, Diro realizes, hang on, I'm supposed to be the pacemaker. This is my job. Let me start setting the pace. Yes, it's 12 kilometers too late, but let me do my job.
Well, that's exactly right, yes. Asefa Diro, who was brought as a pacemaker from Ethiopia, is only a 63-minute half marathon runner officially, but talking to Hermans last night, the Dutch agent, he said that he claims to have run around 61 minutes for a half marathon. He trains a few times a week with Kenenisa Bekele, the athlete right in the central picture there in the blue, the left-hand athlete of the two as we look at them. Claims he trains with Kenenisa Bekele several days a week. Sule there, getting another drink, pouring it over his head to Tanzania. He is feeling the heat.
Yes, they're just coming to U-turn, just past the 12-kilometer mark. And there they come now, the leading group. It's wonderful still to see. We have to keep reiterating this. Avinash Sable in the blue vest, just behind Kenenisa Bekele in the red sneakers. This is the part they've gone past the Ravindra Sarovar metro station, coming up to Tollygunge Club on their right and our left. And very shortly, as they get to what you're seeing on the right of your picture, the 14-kilometer marker is after they take the U-turn. They're at 12.5 kilometers now. And it's at the 13-kilometer mark that they turn around for the second half of this historic Tata Steel 25K here in Kolkata. There they are, coming up just past the median that they're going to take a U-turn in about a minute and a half from now. This is the section of golf courses. There's so much greenery around Kolkata, not just where the start line is, Red Road, the Maidan, Fort William, all the greenery, Victoria Memorial at one end of it. And here we see the two golf courses, 36 gorgeous holes of golf on either side of these runners. They're running down one of the major thoroughfares of the city of Kolkata, coming past Prince Anwar Shah Road, the crossing, and this is the time they'll be eyeing the U-turn.
What I'm pleased to see, Gautam, is that 3 or 4 athletes have taken the lead over the last 20 minutes or so. You know, they all seem to be very much up for this. Sometimes you get races which are slow and tactical and everybody's watching each other. But this today seems to be a fairly aggressively run race, and that's why they're on good schedule. Last time I was able to check, they were on schedule for about 72.5 minutes. That is mighty quick for 25 kilometres. La Rosa having a good run, the Italian there in the red shorts. I'm really pleased to see him giving a good account of himself. He's a good track runner as well, is La Rosa. He's run about an equivalent of about a 3:57 mile. He's run 2:11 for a marathon, so he's got a great combination of speed and strength as well. I shall be fascinated to see how long the Italian, the top Italian distance runner really, can live with these East Africans.
Diro, the pacemaker, just looks behind his shoulder. And this is the second half of the race. They're going to turn around, go back down this road, go over the turn right again, exactly where they came from, down through Alipur, and they're going to be heading back close to the race course, and down past Victoria Memorial, left at, again, the lung, the greenery, down Red Road to the finish line, exactly where they started. You know, Tim, we are privileged to have His Holiness Sri Sri Ravi Shankar in the studio. I suspect if some of these runners found out that he was here, they'd be throwing us out of the studio and wanting time alone to try and improve on their running, improve on their lifestyles, improve on their fitness. So much about the mind, so much about the calmness. Tata Steel Kolkata 25K, co-presented by Tata Steel. What a sight that is. On his own, the champion Kenenisa Bekele. For the longest time, he was in the pack. But before we went to the break, we showed you he broke away. There are some 10K runners on the other side of the bike, and he's in a class of his own, Tim.
Well, he is indeed, yes. I mean, Haile Gebrselassie has been the great Ethiopian runner of years gone by. Gebrselassie, a multiple gold medalist and world record breaker. They called him the Emperor. Well, this is King Kenenisa. Kenenisa Bekele, bouncing along on the roads of Kolkata. And that break, about 7 or 8 minutes ago, has created a gulf between him and his pursuers. I don't think he'll be caught now. The question mark really is about the time now. How close can he get to 72 minutes? That was his target time, something in the 72-minute region. Let's not forget that world best, the fastest time in history, is 71:18. The fastest time in the world this year, by the way, is 72:46. So that would be a very, very nice target indeed. That was set in Tokyo, in Japan, back in February by 3 athletes. Well, Bekele might well run faster than them.
And certainly looks like now he's decided to set a pace for himself. He mentioned to you, Tim, at that press meet that he was looking at somewhere around 72. They've just gone past almost at the 21-kilometer marker. They're on Kirapur Road. This is the dock area of the city of Kolkata. Just behind him to the left are the walls that are the residences for the Docklands area, and pretty big dock over here leads into the Hooghly River, as they'll be coming up to Prince Epcot very shortly.
Good to see Kenenisa taking a little glance over his shoulder there. He will have seen that he's got a pursuer still in sight. I think actually it's Tsegai Tweme of South Africa who's back in second place. And because the gap was only 50 or 60 metres, it keeps the nerve there for Bekele. It shows him he can't relax and ease off on the throttle because he could yet be caught. So while he's pushing along here very hard, beginning to pass a lot of the 10K runners who have obviously run much less than half the distance he's covered, he is having to keep focused, having to keep working. But the work rate now is very intense indeed. He knows, he'll be aware of that time that we can see at the top of the picture. That is on the lead car. There's a big clock on the top of the lead car. So he can see that time. And he will be calculating all the time. He knows he's got about 9 minutes of running to come.
Yeah, they're going down Hospital Road, just coming up to Queensway. Imagine the shock or the surprise for some of these 10K runners who are now keeping pace in a sense with Kenenisa Bekele. The only difference is he's running 25K. They're running 10K.
Yeah, but look at the speed he's moving at and the length of that stride now. This is a stride. This is a man who has defeated the world again and again in the Olympics, on the track in the World Championships, and the cross-country. He's the greatest cross-country runner in history. He's lifted so many individual titles, and actually he took his first international medal back in 2000. As a youngster, he got a medal in the World Junior Championships. So he's been doing this for 17 years, and in his press conference a couple of days ago, he did sound a little bit weary at times. He said, look, you know, yes, I run hard every day, and I have to keep the training going every morning and every evening. These top athletes, of course, train twice a day, but he is sounding a little bit tired to me.
Lots to play for. Look at the elite prize money there, $7,500 US. It looks like that's going to be in the pocket of Kenenisa Bekele. That's the Queensway U-turn he's just gone past.
And that, of course, is on top of the appearance money. These are professional athletes, and they, you know, they get paid just like great tennis players, like athletes from any sport, for their appearance. They're in high demand, so it's wonderful that we've got Bekele here. But he will go home with a great deal more than $7,500, I can assure you.
Yes, the 22-kilometer mark is what they've just gone past there. A cluster of 10K runners here that he's just coming, in a sense, to lap them almost. They're running 2 different races. Hello, get out of the way, sir. Thank you. doesn't want any distractions at this stage from young enthusiastic kids who certainly represent the face of Kolkata, but he represents the face of the world of running and how good it is for the city.
When you get a side-on shot like this, you get a much better idea of just how fast he's moving here, covering the ground. Watch him spot on the pavement or on the sidewalk, and you can see how fast he's going. Look at the difference there. At 22 kilometres, Bekele only 3 seconds down, apparently. Twemai, if he's 3 seconds down, then he's closing. I'd be surprised at that, but Sule a further 14 seconds down from Bekele, indeed another 11 seconds behind Twemai. So the gaps are there. But if it was 3 seconds at 22K, that wasn't very long ago, then Bekele has got to remain focused. The trouble is, if he were to glance around now, never mind about the corners and so on, if he were to glance around now, he'd have trouble picking out his pursuer from all the 10K runners. And that is often a complication in these sorts of situations.
Another iconic roundabout is negotiated by Kenenisa Bekele. This is really the prettiest part of the city. You've been to the Victoria Memorial, Tim. He's just passed the front gate of the grandeur of the Victoria Memorial, past the Maidan on his left, which is where all the young kids of Kolkata grow up playing cricket and football. And I think after today, they'll be spending a lot of time early morning running around that big Maidan.
It may be my eyes playing tricks on me, but I reckon he's getting quicker. He seems to be accelerating. Look, checking his clock. He's desperate to get the world best for this year, the 2017 world best of 1:12:46. Now, funnily enough, that is held by 3 Kenyans, Kipyego, Korea, and Birech, all ran 1:12:46 in Tokyo back in February. And of course, there was this great rivalry between Kenya and Ethiopia, almost East African cousins. The Ethiopians love to get one over on the Kenyans, so if he could knock them off the top spot in the world rankings, he would be delighted.
Yes, he certainly would be delighted. As you said, I don't think your eyes were deceiving you. He was picking up the pace. Just before that picture, we saw him glancing a couple of times over his shoulder, just to make sure that the likes of Tuimai are in the distance.
Yeah, and Bekele is unique. You look at his physical prowess and his physical qualities, the power he's got in those legs, a relatively small torso, and yet powerful shoulders as well. It's a wonderful combination.
Keep an eye on that clock. We've just passed the 68-minute mark, and he's passed the 23-kilometer marker. So just under 2 kilometers to go, and he'd have to do it in about 4 minutes if he wants to beat the world's best time for 2017.
Well, that would be a very big ask. If that indeed was the 23-kilometer marker, then he'll be, well, he'll add another 5 minutes 50 to the clock now, and he's not going to get near the world best for 2017. But only 7 men have ever gone under 72 minutes. You know, you tend with Kenenisa Bekele to judge him by different standards. We're saying, well, he should get the best for this year. That's his target, 72 and bits. Actually, anything around 74 minutes is mighty fast, very, very quick indeed. And it's the pressure you get, the burden you carry when you've broken world records. Is people expect so much of you every time you put on your racing shoes.
Certainly do. And here's another landmark coming up. We're very close to 70 minutes. It's an hour and 10 minutes for this historic run over 25 kilometers through the streets of Kolkata. The Tata Steel Kolkata 25K going international for the first time. And you cannot get a better international representation than that man on your screen. Kenenisa Bekele, a champion for the ages, and looking like he's going to be the first international champion here over 25 kilometers in Kolkata.
And this is a very nice way to close his racing year of 2017. You know, he's had a difficult year in 2017. He ran the Dubai Marathon in January, or he started it, but he got trodden on when there was a fall and a bit of a tussle at the start of the race. He had to drop out later on in the race. Then he came second in the London Marathon a few months later in April. Fabulous time, fabulous race there. And then he dropped out of Berlin back in September. Now the predicted time for Bekele at 5K was 1:12:55. At 23 kilometres at the current pace, 1:13:45. So he was going to miss that world best for 2017 by about a minute as things look at the moment. Despite his closing speed, I'm sure he can't make up that gap. So he might miss the 2017 world best. But the good news is he's fit, he's healthy, there would appear to be no injuries, and this will project him towards his next big race.
Certainly, with about 1.5 kilometers to run in Kolkata, Kenenisa Bekele with the distinctive red sneakers leads the way. That right turn is going to lead him up to the grandeur of the red road.
You know what he almost needs now, and it does help very often in these situations. You're under pressure, you're working hard, is to have somebody alongside you. If you're battling in a race alongside somebody, that's when the extra time gets made up, because you're racing somebody, and the urgency, the mind over body factor becomes very, very significant. He's here, the only thing he's racing against is himself.
Eliud Kipchoge told us that. He said, given a choice, I'd always like to have somebody against me who I can compete with, but yet, when he did break records in London, when he did perform so well in Delhi, twice he was completely on his own.
Well, you're looking at a man who is the greatest distance runner in history. There's no doubt about that. He has 16 World Championship individual gold medals, 11 gold medals from the World Cross Country Championships. And after a difficult 2017, he dropped out in Berlin back in September. It was a wet and cold day in the German capital, and he dropped out at around 30 kilometres. Well, this is some consolation for him to close his 2017 year with a victory in a big race here in Kolkata. It will give him real heart, real fire in his belly for going to the training over the next few months and project him into 2018.
Anything but cold and wet here in Kolkata. It's a gorgeous winter morning, just a shade over 15 degrees. It's the best time of year to come to the city, a week away from Christmas. The Christmas shoppers are out there at the moment, taking a bit of a breather to keep their eyes on Kenenisa Bekele, just coming past Fort William Circle as he approaches the final turn, the sweeping turn into the finish straight on Red Road, where they started about an hour and 12 minutes ago.
Well, there's 72 and a half minutes on the clock. His target was 72.46. It looks like he's going to fall just short of that, but the victory is the most important thing. Winning is the vital factor in any sport. Great performances on the way to that victory is the icing on the cake, I suppose you could say. 400 metres to go. He's just passed that sign. It is going to be a mighty quick time, just outside 73 minutes by the looks of things, but this has been a majestic run from King Kenenisa Bekele. 300 metres to run. Still, he pounds along on the road. Were this on a track, he'd be running down the back straight. He has slaughtered the opposition here today. Strong opposition who put up stout resistance for the first 3 quarters of the race. And then when he cut loose, the race was done and dusted. Another little nervous glance over his shoulder there just to reassure himself that he has got victory in the bag. 200 metres to run. And Bekele can see the finish line now. He continues to drive hard for the line with that inimitable style. The winner of the Berlin Marathon last year in the second fastest time in history dropped out of that same race just a few weeks ago, but the good times are back for Bekele. This is a fabulous run from Kenenisa Bekele. The Olympic golds he has aplenty, world titles he has aplenty, but he's the winner of the Kolkata Steel 25K race here in this wonderful city today in a time of just outside 73 and a half minutes, and he's beaten the opposition into submission by a big, big margin over the last few miles, few kilometres.
Chance for us to catch our breaths there as Kenenisa catches his breath just after the finish line, wearing bib number 1, and he certainly is number 1 in the hearts and minds of everyone across the world. The victory sign, and of course it's more than the V, it's the numero uno from Bekele, and he is the champion. He knows he's the champion, and all of us, along with him, can soak in the victory at the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K. And there comes Tuimai, not too far behind him. We couldn't see him in shot, but I think it's not a bad time for Tuimai, jersey number 5.
No, it's a great time for Tuimai. And Sule coming through there. Now, Tuimai is just 21 years old. Sule is 20, so the young pretenders to the throne coming through in 2nd and 3rd places behind the king. But for the moment, they will have to look up to him and continue to train hard and hope to wrestle that mantle of world number 1 from his hands.
And there comes Avinash Sable. What a wonderful race from Avinash Sable. He's getting a standing ovation, and soak it in, young man. This is a historic moment. He wasn't too far behind the champions. The likes of Kenenisa Bekele were only about a minute and a half ahead of him, and that smile tells the story. Yes, he might be in 4th place, but he was a very close 4th place behind Bekele, Tuimai, and young Sule. great moment in Indian running, Tim?
Well, I'll tell you why, mostly why it's a great moment, because the course record for the Indians was 77.16. He's just run unofficially, I got him at about 75.30. He's just knocked 2 minutes off the Indian course record. That is a monstrous leap. That is a leap from being national standard to international class. Here is Lakshmanan, last year's champion. Lakshmanan is going to finish second amongst the Indians by the looks of things. But from Avinash, that is an astonishing performance here this morning. I'm absolutely delighted for him and for Indian running. By Avinash Sable, that is absolutely monstrous. And Kalidas there, we think, is coming through maybe ahead of Lakshmanan.
You're right, he is. Kalidas Hirave there, just coming into shot at the finish line in the white vest.
Well, Kenenisa, after 21 Olympic and World Championship titles, how special does this one make you feel? And how was the run?
You know, it was fantastic, you know, because my first time here in India, you know, winning here, you know, for me is, you know, more and more, you know, I make history. So I'm so happy to win.
Well, clearly you're a living legend. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.